Next on the list is the parallax ones. So parallax is going to be an image that moves left and right, up and down. It can either be one that moves automatically and or based on a camera movement or a player movement. We're going to go back to our default set, click on the parallax set here. So there's a group of them here all together. But what we want to do is actually, instead of the animation checked, we're going to uncheck it. Now what this means is that each one of these images will come in separately so that we can work with each one of them as a separate tile. So we'll say select folder. So it's going to process each of them, and now if you notice, we now have a full list of tiles which we can now work from. Now the advantage for that is if you have a folder full of different items and they're all single images, then it's a pretty quick thing to just click on the folder and have them all populate in. Alright, so we're gonna basically just walk through each one of these and set them up. I'm going to start with this one, which is the mid background. Actually, let's start with the furthest background. We'll say this one right here for the sky. I'm going to choose background parallax. So we're going to say background sky, and this will be, we're just going to put them in order of layers. We'll say background layer, and then we'll do a mid foreground and that type of thing for it. General settings, I'm going to actually, again, turning both of those off. The image offset on this one actually doesn't really apply in terms of the image because it gets placed onto a completely separate plane. But we can still do background sky option for the thumbnail. Collider we can turn off right there. We'll go back down to the very bottom here. Now there are triggering systems where you can trigger it to bring it, have it show, have it turn off, and all those things. But our focus though is just simply the background layer. We want to choose, are we seeing the background in a foreground camera in front of everything or behind everything? So there's three cameras that are basically rendering inside the scene. You have the middle camera, which is showing anything you put on layer 2, 3, and 4, but then you have 1 and 5 that are going to be foreground or background. We're going to say it's the background. Layer depth closest is 1. Well, this is the sky, so we're actually going to say this is the furthest away. And we have background follows camera. We're going to go ahead and say yes to that. The background scale multiplier, just meaning that is it going to be the same size or close to the same size. By default, we're going to say yes to both of these. We just want it to be 100% locked onto it. We're also going to say it maintains the square UV, meaning that if you had if the screen, for instance, this screen is a rectangle, but these images are squares, well, we don't want to stretch it. We just simply want to tile it proportionately left and right. So we're going to leave this as the screen maintains square UV, have it enabled. Alright. And then the last part on this that we'll take a look at, this is going to be the movement. If you have movement that you just want automatically to play, like you want clouds just to simply move in the scene, then you can choose the auto speed for these. This usually works well, especially if you're going to play it in editor, if you want to be able to see it happening. There is a speed vertical, horizontal, and vertical. This is going to be if it's connected to a player. So if I have it connected to a player, I'm going to do, for instance, the opposite movement of it, meaning that if the player moves one way, then it moves the other. Actually, we don't need to do it for the sky because the sky is going to be static in the background, so that actually should be fine on this one. Alright, so there we go. That's going to be the first one set up. We've done the background layer and then just kind of taking a look at the movement.